Yo, what's up guys, this is Sick, and today I'm gonna show you how I made my track Hard together with Senator, which sounds like this. Okay, so let's start. So this is the project of Hard. As you can see, there's a lot of stuff going on, but also a lot of samples, which we really used in this track. If you want to know how the break idea was made, go check Senator's video. I will have a link in the description. It will pop up over here as well. I will show which elements I added, basically. So I added these claps, this tremolo ambience, and this clock, and mainly the vocal.
I can feel your heart reaching out,
which is from the 7, 8, 9, 10 vocal pack, and I didn't do actually any processing to it, just the reverb. And I've added also a double,
I can feel your heart,
which is in stereo. I just added in pre-computed effects this stereo delay, and also there is a vocoder playing. When we play them together, they sound like this.
I can feel your heart reaching out with open arms.
So Senator used the Reese from us, from Sick, Raid and Sick. Check out our packs if you want this sound. And I basically just automated the cutoff. Just to keep the bass moving. There is a piano, 2 pianos. Yeah, really basic chords, but I think they worked well over here. Also, there's a string, which you probably can't really hear over the piano, but yeah, I just wanted to have it there. Here's the carrier for the vocoder, which I showed you earlier. And let's see how the vocoder was made. Vocoder carrier is really simple. On oscillator A we have a wavetable. On oscillator A we have a saw wavetable. On oscillator B we have also a saw, but it's detuned and it has some unison, and we have just a basic white noise. So then we route it to the 72, which is the vocoder. From 71 we route the vocal into the 72. So basically, when you open Vocodex, you turn this one to 1 and this to 2, this is the carrier and this is the vocal. And what I did, I just turned up the bandwidth, so it's more robotic. And there's more of the carrier sound. Then there's just a filter, which is automated sometimes, and yeah, just an EQ to get rid of the subs. Some effects which I used for automating. So in the build-up, we have a lot of sounds from the first break, as the claps, tremolo ambience, there's a brass sustain, just add some epicness, an 808, and some more stuff which Senator covered in his video. I've added a drone. Yeah, some metal sheet current, which is basically one of my go-to risers. And there's an adlib playing as well from the same pack as the previous vocal. Yeah, then we introduce the main sounds. Yeah, then it just kind of washes out. In this part, we have a ghost choir, bass one shot, these percussions, also this, I added this kick, and also I chopped up this build-up fill to go with the kick. Then for the pre-drop, this is the vocal from the break. which it's basically on one note. I just pitched it up, down, and processed it. I don't remember how because it's consolidated, but yeah, there's one more sound playing, which is the drum fill. And also a reversed kick, which sucks you into the drop. Let's move on to the drop. This is the part which you are probably waiting for. So let's break it down. We've got the step from Senator, a violin step, which I took from the violin in the second break. Then we've got a white noise and Fox Stevenson synth. And a growl. The growl sounds like this. It's from our pack, Secret and Sick Essentials. Check it out on the website. Link is in the description. For the bass, we've got this pattern, which pitches down eventually to go with this bass line. The bass is from Fox Stevenson's pack on Splice, which I pitched down. And it's heavily processed as well. Without any processing, it sounds like this. A bit different. The main thing which does this is this filter from Serum FX. I turned on the note latch so it starts when the sound starts playing. I added the high notch filter, I modulated the cutoff and the frequency, and I added some resonance and some drive. Without it added some talkiness. So then we move on. We've got this EQ, which is just boosting a bit of the mids and cutting the lows. Then this is distorting it a bit more and adding some width. It is basically taming the sound. Then we've got the ring modulation for some white noise. It's a really good thing to use when you want some extra high end but don't want to add some regular high noise. This one is more gritty. Then we route it to the bass bus, which processes the sound a bit more. I've got some phaser, which I later modulate. Then just an EQ to get rid of the really lows. Also a Saturn, but it doesn't do too much in my opinion. Then a filter used for the build-up, Endless Smile as well. A Fab Filter Pro L, which I changed up for the Pro L2. Yeah, it was just for measuring purposes. I just wanted to see the peaks. Then a reverb for automation, which I will show. And this is a really important part. This is a multi-band sidechain. Sidechaining the lows, mids, and highs differently. When we would just use the kickstart, it would sound like this. So there's a lot less mids and highs going in. It's not that hard, in my opinion. So yeah, that's why I used the Shaper Box. I just wanted to play with it because I got it at that time. But yeah, I think it did a really good job doing this. Then we've got another bass, which is processed a bit differently. I added the de-esser because it was a bit harsh, and then EQ to boost the mids a bit, and then it goes back into the bass bus. So we can have a look on the B part as well. We've got the sub and the synth, which is from a Mofal's pack. It's called Lead Ba, and yeah, it is processed pretty heavily. Way different, right? So when we look at the processing one by one, first we got the disperser, then we've got some distortion, OTT, classic, decapitator, this makes the magic, reverb for automation, OTT, decapitator, just to cut some lows, and the kickstart, which is not really useful because it goes back into the bass bus, which I showed earlier. Yeah, so these are the main synths. So let's check the drums. Yeah, so I wanted to create the feeling of like A and B part. So in the B part, there's usually like a percussion loop. I used this one from Taiki No Light and added some ring modulation and some pitching down to match the key of the track. And yeah, that's basically it. Just a easy clap and a clap loop with some pre-sweeps and stuff. Let's move on. We've got one more bass from Fox Stevenson as well. It's pitched down heavily. Then we've got one more bass, also from the Fox Stevenson pack, and I added some one more bass to change it up a bit, which also goes to a separate channel where we EQ it a lot, add some dimension expander and a limiter, and then we route it to the 60, which is from the first bass. And yeah, that's basically it for this part. I have some fills here and there and some weird one-shots. Then in the end of the first part of the drop, we have this guitar loop playing from the break. I just cut up the synth from the B part and automated some filters. In the second part of the drop, it's almost the same. There are more drums playing. Also, there's a riser. Which is the Dark Reese preset. I added some distortion, some EQing, and some pan to pan it left and right, and just an endless smile to add some reverb towards the end. Also, for the end of the drop, I wanted to build it up. So I just chopped up the drop claps, basically. And yeah, then we've got my impact. So the second break sounds like this. Yeah, so there's a shaker loop, which isn't a shaker loop. It's a really weird modulation. And it's done with Manipulator. I just added some presets from there and it made this really weird modulation. Then I added the elements from the first break and added this sustain string. And this ambience. Also here I added this shaper box automation. It's modulating the volume at 1/16 triplets. I'm modulating the Reese cutoff. And there's one more bass playing. It's a bass that Senator added to the track. Then we move on to the second part where the chords get more full. So we've got the true pianos playing these chords and a violin which slowly gets more harmonic. For the Reese, I modulated the sync of oscillator B, which is pretty cool in my opinion. Also there's a percussion loop playing, which is pitched down to octaves. Also, of course, the vocal, and I made a reverse for the vocal.
I can feel your heart.
So it doesn't play out of nowhere, basically. We transition to the second part.
I can feel your heart reaching out with open arms.
Which gets more epic and epic. I changed the chords a lot. I made them follow the vocal. So when we look here, this is the vocoder carrier.
I can feel your heart reaching out with open arms. I can feel your heart reaching out into the dark.
Yeah, and it sounds really good with the main vocal as well.
I can feel your heart.
I just wanted to like follow the notes of the original, and then I just added some harmonies to make it sound really cool. So when we continue, we've got the violin, which gets really epic in this part. Yeah, I added some claps to make it more like festival-like, and a kick. as the track was mostly made for Sundance Festival, which happened in summer. I opened my set with this track, so yeah. Also with the kick, I tried to emulate the heartbeat sound once again. Yeah, but that's just a detail. In the end of the break, we've got this violin. Just a way to like transition and end the break. And yeah, the second build up is almost the same. I just added this cool little drum and bass. Just basically a horn. Everything is almost the same as in the first build up. There are just a bit more harmonies in the pre-drop vocal. I just wanted to make the F minor 9th chord, which I really like to use in my productions. So then the second drop is really similar to the first one. I removed some kicks and removed the sidechain from the basses, and as well I added this riser, which I ended the second drop with. And it just rises and rises throughout the whole drop. And it also gets a bit detuned with the macro I made for detuning, which was a bit unnecessary, but it works. So yeah, that's basically it for the song. It's nothing too crazy, but yeah, it sounds pretty hard. On the master chain, there's nothing special. There's just an EQ and FabFilter Pro L, which probably doesn't work, so I won't turn it on, and an Endless Smile, which gets automated in the build-up as well. Also from the master, I automate the volume to make the drop here hit a lot harder. And yeah, also the Endless Smile, which makes the drop hit harder because it's really washed out, and then when the drop hits, it's really dry. So that's a really good thing to do, like the contrast between the build up and the drop. So that's basically the whole project. So yeah, that's basically it for the video. If you liked it, drop a comment, and yeah, if you have any questions, ask me on Instagram at SigMusic, and yeah, or drop a comment, whatever. I will try to answer. So have a nice day, and ciao ciao.